Watch someone demolish a whole pizza, skip the gym for 3 weeks straight, never once mention a diet, and still slide into the same jeans they've worn for years. It can be genuinely maddening because you assume the reason must be discipline or willpower or some secret they're quietly keeping from you. But here's what happens when scientists actually study these people. The slim without trying person is usually not more disciplined than you at all. In many cases, they aren't trying, and their own body is quietly doing the work for them through hidden processes they have no idea are even happening. So let's look at what's really going on inside them, because it's not what anyone thinks, and by the end, it might change how you judge both them and yourself. Let's start by killing the myth you've been sold your whole life. The story goes, staying slim is about willpower. The slim people are the disciplined ones, and everyone else just isn't trying hard enough. It feels true, and it's one of the most misleading ideas in all of psychology, because the research keeps landing on the same uncomfortable conclusion. The gap between people who stay effortlessly slim and people who struggle is mostly not a gap in effort. It's a gap in wiring, in automatic behavior, and in biology that runs completely beneath conscious control. And the first piece of it is so strange it sounds made up. In the late 1990s, a Mayo Clinic researcher named James Levine ran an experiment that should be far more famous than it is. He took a group of ordinary people and deliberately overfed every single one of them, 1,000 extra calories a day, every day, for 8 weeks. The same overfeeding for everyone. Then he measured who gained weight. The results were staggering. The amount of fat people gained varied by up to 10-fold. Same extra calories, wildly different outcomes. Some people packed it on. Some barely gained anything at all. So Levine went hunting for what separated them. And the answer wasn't their metabolism, the way you'd think. And it wasn't the gym. It was something he named NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. A technical phrase for all the movement you do without ever deciding to. Fidgeting, standing, pacing, tapping a foot, shifting in your seat. The tiny, unconscious motions of a body just being alive. Here's the part that flips everything. When Levine overfed people, the ones who stayed lean weren't resisting the food or hitting the gym. Their bodies, entirely on their own, with no conscious decision, started moving more. They fidgeted more. They stood more. They unconsciously burned off the excess. The people who gained weight, their bodies just didn't. They sat still and stored it. And between two similar-sized people, this hidden, involuntary movement can add up to a difference of as much as 2,000 calories burned in a single day. 2,000. That is not willpower. That's a thermostat built into the body that some people have set high and others have set low. And almost nobody knows which one they got. The slim person tapping their foot through a meeting isn't being disciplined. Their body is quietly running a furnace they never lit. But movement is only half of it. The other half happens at the dinner table. And it's not about what these people resist. It's about a signal they receive that you might not. Think about the moment you feel full. For some people, that signal lands loud and early. A firm internal, okay, that's enough. And they simply stop, often without even noticing they stopped. For others, that same signal is faint, delayed, easy to talk over, and they keep eating well past the point their body needed. Scientists call this satiety responsiveness, how strongly your body registers fullness and hits the brakes. And here's the crucial finding. It isn't a measure of your character. It's substantially built in. Large twin studies have found that fullness responsiveness is strongly heritable. One major study of over 5,000 pairs of twins put the heritability of satiety responsiveness at around 63%, and food cue responsiveness even higher. In plain terms, the slim without trying person very often didn't learn to stop eating. They were born with a louder stop signal. They're not exercising restraint you can't summon. They're answering an internal alarm that, in them, simply rings sooner and louder. And this connects to something deeper about attention. Effortlessly slim people tend to eat by their internal cues. Hungry, so they eat. Full, so they stop. Many people who struggle are, through no fault of their own, running on external cues instead. The food is there. The plate isn't empty. Everyone's still eating. It's lunchtime. the packet isn't finished. Psychologists call eating led by inner signals intuitive eating, and it consistently correlates with lower body weight. But notice what that actually means. It's not a diet. It's not a rule. It's a different relationship with your own body's signals, one that, for the lucky, was mostly installed at birth, and for others was quietly overwritten by a world engineered to make you eat past full. So now we've got a hidden movement furnace and a louder fullness alarm. But there's a third layer, and it ties the whole thing together. And it's the reason the phrase is without trying. Because the truth is, effortlessly slim people are mostly not making decisions at all. They're running on autopilot. Human behavior, including eating and moving, is governed far more by automatic habit than by conscious choice. The person who always takes the stairs isn't deciding to take the stairs. The person who stops at one portion isn't deploying willpower. These aren't battles they win every day. They're defaults, grooved so deep they don't even register as decisions. And that's the cruel irony hidden inside the word willpower. Willpower is only what you need when a behavior is a fight. For the effortlessly slim, it was never a fight, so no willpower was ever spent. They look disciplined from the outside, but inside, there's no battle happening at all. And a huge share of which defaults you ended up with was set by the environment you grew up in and the body you were handed, not by some strength of will you're failing to find. Which brings us to the part I refuse to leave out, because without it, this whole video would be a lie. It would be easy to walk away thinking, so if I just fidgeted more and listened to my fullness, I'd be effortlessly slim too. And that is not what the science says, because underneath all of this, the movement, the appetite, the defaults, sits genetics, and its grip is enormous. Twin and family studies estimate that somewhere between 40 and 70% of the variation in body weight between people is explained by genes. Genes that shape your appetite, your fullness signals, your metabolism, and even how much your body wants to move. So a very large share of staying slim without trying is not a virtue, not an achievement, and not a secret anyone is withholding from you. It is, in significant part, luck. The genetic hand someone was dealt before they ever made a single choice. And the flip side matters just as much. A person who struggles with their weight is not weak, not lazy, and not failing at something everyone else figured out. They are very often fighting a biology and an environment that the effortlessly slim person simply never had to fight. So let's put the whole picture together, because it dismantles the story you were told. The person who stays slim without trying usually isn't more disciplined than you. Their body may quietly burn off excess through movement they never chose to make. Their fullness signal may ring louder and earlier, so they stop without a struggle. Their healthy patterns may run on automatic defaults that never cost them an ounce of willpower. And beneath all of it sits a genetic inheritance that stacked the deck long before effort entered the picture. Without trying was never a trick they were hiding. For them, it was simply true. And maybe that's the real thing to take from this. Not a diet, not a hack, but a small act of fairness toward them, because their slimness was never the moral achievement people treat it as. And toward yourself, because if you've spent years reading your body as proof of some personal failure of willpower, the science is quietly telling you something kinder and truer. It was never only about how hard you tried. So much of it was written into the machine before you ever showed up. And the most freeing thing you can do with that is stop grading yourself on a test that was never fair to begin with. If this changed how you see the slimmest person you know, or how you see yourself, tell me in the comments. I read them all. Subscribe if you want more of the mind explained properly, and I'll see you in the next one.